Mozarabic, more accurately Andalusian Romance, was a continuum of closely related Romance dialects spoken in the Muslim-controlled areas of the Iberian Peninsula, known as Al-Andalus. Mozarabic descends from late Latin and early Romance dialects spoken in the Hispania from the 5th to the 8th centuries and was spoken until the 14th century. This set of Latin dialects came to be called the Mozarabic language by 19th-century Spanish scholars who studied medieval Al-Andalus, though there never was a common language standard. The term is inaccurate, because it refers to the Christians who spoke Andalusian Romance, as a part of the Romance dialectic linguistic continuum in the Iberian Peninsula, but it was also spoken by Jews and Muslims, as large parts of the population were converted to Islam. The word Mozarab is a loanword from Andalusi Arabic mustarab, classical Arabic mustarab, meaning, who adopts the ways of the Arabs. Native name. The name Mozarabic is today used for many Romance dialects like Murcian, Sevillian. The native name of the language was not Muzarab or Mozarab but Latina. Mozarabs themselves never called their own language Mozarabic, but instead by a word that meant Latin. They did not call themselves Mozarabs either. At times between persecution, Christian communities prospered in Muslim Spain. These Christians are now usually referred to as Mozarabes. Although the term was not in use at the time, it was only in the 19th century that Spanish historians started to use the words Mozarabs and Mozarabic to refer to those Christian people and their language who lived under Muslim rule in the Iberian Peninsula in the Middle Ages. Another very common Arab exonym for this language was al-Ajamiyya that had the meaning of Romance language in Al-Andalus. So the words Mozarabic or Ajamiyya are exonyms and not an autonym of the language. Roger Wright, in his book about the evolution of early Romance languages in France and in the Iberian Peninsula, Late Latin and Early Romance in Spain in Carolingian France, page 156, states, "The early Romance of Muslim Spain was known to its users as Latinus." This word can lead to confusion. The Visigothic scholars use it to contrast with Greek or Hebrew, and Simonet established that in Muslim Spain it was used to refer to the non-Arabic vernacular. Also in the same book on page 158, the author states that the use of Latinus to mean Latin Romance, as opposed to Arabic, is also found north of the religious border. This means that the word Latinus or Latino had the meaning of spoken Romance language, and it was only contrasted with Classical Latin a few centuries later. Contemporary Romance speakers of the Iberian Peninsula of that time saw their vernacular spoken languages Latin. This happened because Classical Latin was seen as an educated speech, not as a different language. As Francisco Marcos Marin has pointed out, following archaeological studies mainly by Juan Zozayar, Berber invaders could not have learnt to speak Arabic so soon. They used a continuum between Berber and Latin varieties. Latin was the cultural language of the Roman provinces of Africa before Arabic and continued in use until the 11th century. The interaction of these Afro-Romance varieties and Ibero-Romance has yet to be studied. Those African speakers also referred to their languages Latin, the name that Sephardic Jews gave to their spoken Romance language in Iberia, Ladino, and also the name that and Alpine Romance-speaking people, the Ladines, give to their language Laden. Both names mean Latin. In the Iberian Peninsula, the word Ladino survived with the specific linguistic meaning of Spanish written by Jews. This is one of the main reasons why Iberian Jews from central and southern regions called their everyday language Ladino, because this word had the sense of spoken Romance language. For the same reason, speakers of Laden, another Romance language, call their own language Laden, i.e., Latin. This word had the sense of spoken Romance language not only in Iberian Peninsula but also in other Romance language regions in early Middle Ages. Scripts. Because Mozarabic was not a language of high culture, it had no official script. Unlike most Romance languages, Mozarabic was primarily written in the Arabic rather than the Latin script, though it was also written in Latin and to a lesser extent in the Hebrew alphabet. Mozarab scholars wrote words of the Romance vernacular in alternative scripts in the margins or in the subtitles of Latin language texts. The two languages of culture in medieval Iberia were Latin in the north and Arabic in the south. These are the languages that constitute the great majority of written documents of the peninsula at that time. Mozarabic is first documented in writing in the peninsula as choruses in Arabic lyrics called muwashshas. As these were written in the Arabic script, the vowels had to be reconstructed when transliterating it into Latin script. Morphology and phonetics. The phonology of Mozarabic is more archaic than the other Romance languages in Spain, fitting with the general idea that language varieties in more isolated or peripheral areas act as islands of conservatism. Based on the written documents that are identified as Mozarabic, some examples of these more archaic features are the preservation of the Latin consonant clusters CL, Florida, place. The lack of lenition of intervocalic P, T, C, as in the Mozarabic words lopa, toto and formica. The representation of Latin KT as HT, thought to have been an intermediate stage in the transition, KT greater than JT, but represented nowhere else. The preservation of palatalized K as T, rather than TS, as elsewhere in Western Romance languages. The preservation of original OI. The morphology of some words is closer to Latin than other Iberian Romance or Romance languages in general. This Romance variety had a significant impact in the formation of Spanish, especially Andalusian Spanish, which explains why this language has numerous words of Andalusian Arabic origin. To note that there is a significant difference between the Mozarabic influence in Spanish, which has over 4,000 Arabic-derived words, and Portuguese, with under 900 in total. It was spoken by Mozarabs, Muladus, and some layers of the ruling Arabs and Berbers. The cultural language of Mozarabs continued to be Latin, but as time passed, young Mozarabs studied and even excelled in Arabic. Due to the northward migration of Mozarabs, Arabic place names occur in areas where Islamic rule did not last long. With the deepening of Islamization and the advance of the Reconquista, Mozarabic was substituted either by Arabic or by Northern Romance varieties, depending on the area and century. Documents in Andalusian Romance. Some texts found in manuscripts of poetry in Muslim Iberian Peninsula, although mainly written in Arabic, have however some stanzas in Andalusian Romance or in what seems to be Andalusian Romance. These are important texts because there are few examples of written Andalusian Romance. Proper Mozarabic texts were written in Latin and are available in the accurate edition by Juan Gil. In late Latin and early Romance, Roger Wright also makes an analysis of these poetry texts known as cages. Muslim Spain has acquired philological interest for a further reason. The cages. These are apparently bilingual or macaronic final stanzas of some verses in the Hispano-Arabic muwashshah form discovered in some Arabic and Hebrew manuscripts. Analyses of these have been hampered in the past by the belief that we know too little about Mozarabic Romance to discuss the Romance element on the sound basis, but this is not entirely true. The detailed investigations by Galmes de Fuentes on later documents and toponyms have established the main features of Mozarabic phonology, and many features of its morphology. The conclusion seems to be that Mozarabic Romance is not particularly different from that of other parts of Iberia. However, a better knowledge of Andalusian Arabic, particularly due to the work of Federico Corriente, placed the Zarajat in the framework of Arabic literature, and the linguistic diglossic situation of Al-Andalus. Most Zarajat, actually, were written in Andalusian Arabic. Those with Andalusi Romance elements usually combine them with Andalusi Arabic forms, sample text, phonetic reconstruction and language comparison. The Lord's Prayer, Our Father,